we were farming down in Nebraska, and we decided that Minnesota would be probably a great place to farm. So in the fall of 1964, we were moving machinery up to Slayton, Minnesota. So I had a D17 Alice tractor, and I needed to get that up there to do some fall work. I was going to leave on a Friday morning, on Friday November 13th, on a Friday morning, and we were expecting our daughter Tracy, who was supposed to be due in 10 days. Because Joanna went to the hospital on Friday morning and had Tracy. She knew I was going to leave, and so then I told her goodbye on Saturday night. Sunday morning I left for Minnesota there, and I told the hospital administrator, I said I'd be back in 4 or 5 days, and then I said I had hogs to sell that I could pay the hospital bill, and so he said, all right, maybe 4 pigs or so to pay the bill, you know, which wasn't, you know, nowadays it'd take a whole truckload. But we left Sunday morning. I had a heat houser on the tractor, and it was drizzling when I left down there, and it didn't dawn on me, you know, maybe I could get a little wet, you know, but the Lord was kind, and so I didn't get rained on anyway. I had this tandem disc behind the tractor, and behind the tractor I had a barge wagon box, and I had a 4-bottom plow in there and a fuel barrel in that. I had lots of tires on the ground. It didn't dawn on me I could have a flat tire either, you know. I could have had a flat and really be hung up, you know. But you gotta be a little goofy to start a trip like that. But I was a young man at that time. I was 33 years old, and I was going to be 34 in the fall of that year, in September. So I was a young man with lots of ambition. And I was really short on money too, and it was going to cost me a little money to truck it up there. And my tires weren't too good on the tractor, so I thought, well, I can't really hurt the tires. And so it was just a day's drive up there, and so that was the cheapest way I could get to Minnesota. Outside of Sioux City, about 12 miles, was a restaurant there, and it was about, I don't know if it was 11 in the morning. I stopped and had a cup of coffee there. The guy said to me in the restaurant, he says, how far are you going? And I said, I don't believe I'll tell you, you might lock me up, you know that. We drove from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon at about, it should figure out about 15 miles an hour we drove up there.
And you say we, but it was just you, right?
Just me and the tractor, yeah. I drove up to Sibley, Iowa, and stayed with my cousin and Herman and Margie Grader. Yeah, he had a brand new 4020 John Deere tractor sitting out in his yard there when I drove in with my D17, and I parked alongside of him, and as Herman says to me, he says, Stan, is that your big tractor? I said, yeah, and he said, my front wheels are as big as your back wheels. He said, you know.
Got up early the next morning?
Yeah, 7. I was on my road at 7, and I got up to Slayton at 10.
Anybody honk at you or wave or beep?
No, it was really a pretty good trip, you know. It just probably could have got run over, you know. Yeah, our son Jay, he was with Ralston Farina, and he was way out on the East Coast there at this meeting, and they went to introduce themselves, and he said he was Jay Dahlgren, and here his name was Lowell Johnson, and he'd been a neighbor to ours down in Nebraska there. He was with Walbum Eggs, and here he said, well, did I know Stan Dahlgren? And yeah, he knew Stan. Well, he says, my dad. And he says, well, yeah, he said, Stan, he drove that Ellis tractor up to Minnesota, he said.
So you were sort of a celebrity.
Oh, I was. That's the only thing I was known for. If I hadn't done that, nobody would know me for anything, you know. So I'm really glad I did it.